Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Hello, everybody. Michael, I haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. It has been so hard pressed to not hear your lovely voice and talk to you about whatever in the Sam hell has popped up in our head.
I've missed you, Joe.
Oh, you so sweet.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Everyone seems to be doing well. I hope everybody's doing well out there. We're into spring officially now. From what I hear, there's a whole lot of storms coming across the country too. I heard there's gonna be some madness in the next couple of days. I don't think it's gonna hit you, but I think
Yeah, we're gonna dodge it.
oh yeah, like Central's gonna get hit really hard in maybe northern Texas. I don't know, but I was talking to some people today, and they were just mentioning how I think somewhere in maybe Colorado or whatever they were doing tornado, readiness drills and all that fun stuff. I do not miss those days. Damn sure. At least we have hurricanes here, but at least we know they're coming. We have an idea. Tornadoes just like to pop up, and they always like to pop up at night and just like it's like the boogeyman reaching out from under the covers and just grabbing you right by the balls.
Hey, wait a second.
Hard, not in a good way, Mike. Not in a good way.
Thank you for the clarity. I
I didn't
was
say
getting it.
I didn't say tickle. I mean full on like grab and squeeze, looking for a pop. That'll slow you down, right? Shit. So Mike, I'm gonna jump right into it tonight because as I informed you 30 seconds ago, I am either fighting mass allergies or a potential cold that I picked up on my little trip.
Mhm.
So I don't wanna go too crazy here, and, I apologize to everyone if you hear me sniffling or hopefully I'll hit the mute button when I gotta sneeze and blow my nose, and we'll keep that out of the mix here, but life is life, and this is the time of year it hits everybody.
Yeah.
So Michael, me and my family and some friends of ours and their family went on a epic spring break trip that the kids have been begging for years. We went over to the Orient to Japan. Okay. Needless to say, part of me wanted to see historical stuff. A little Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Okinawa, look for the ghost of Pat Morita, that kind of stuff.
But yeah.
But when you go with young children and you have two families, you do have to
Compromise.
exactly. And those are not places that are actually quick and close, easy to get to as much as others things. So unfortunately, did not make it to those type of places on this trip. But so it is, so it is. I'll touch on that when I'm done with my whole conversation here. But what I noticed, Mike, on this is there was a lot of things that really stuck out. Okay, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect going over here. I've been to Europe, been to the Caribbean, a lot of places like that, but I've never been to the Asian culture. I've been off of the coast of India for my honeymoon, but that was a tiny little thing where you just expected to be quiet and we're young and whatever.
Right.
So as this 10-day trek was going on, I'm just kind of soaking it in and really thinking about the culture differences I've noticed over there, especially with this is a country and that has existed infinitely as a culture, infinitely longer than we have here. We're a
Mhm.
couple hundred years strong here, whereas they're thousands, right? You know, and we're going back to Mongol times, right? And I mean, just shit that's way older than anything we have here. And they have their ways and all that, which we do too, but they're more ingrained into everything. So let me talk about a few of these things. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about is my airplane ride. Okay. Now, for us, it was a multi-leg hop. So we had to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, which was on, good old American Airlines. And there were no issues. It was a standard plane ride. Nothing special, pretty much what you expected out of good old double A. Land in LA, wait our time there, and we get on Japan Airlines. And that's who we flew for like 14 and a half effing hours.
Do you remember what kind of plane you guys were on?
This one, 7, it was a 242. So you had Yeah, 2 seats, 4 seats in the middle, I think 4 s I think it was 4, and then 2. So one of the larger planes, where you kind of you board it from the middle. You got business class and then first class where you can't
Okay.
see them type of deal where they can sleep, really sleep. So not a it was a double decker. It didn't have the upstairs, but it was
Okay.
just smaller than that. You see the plane at the airport compared to the domestics and go, "Damn, that's a big ass plane," type of deal. You could tell the difference. So we get on this plane, and as I'm starting to notice things, I should have realized it might have been leading up to what I'm going to witness. Maybe, maybe not. The stewardesses are, they're in uniforms that remind you more of the older days. I've found this, it was many years ago that I've flown on a European airline, but there they had the pill hats and the skirts, and they just reminded you of what you see in the older movies, right? They're a very specific dress that they have.
Yeah.
As opposed to, American domestic airlines, it's more, yes, they match up, but it's kind of a casual, comfortable, they need movement, and all that pants or maybe a skirt and a shirt, but no
Yeah.
matching hats and scarves or any of that kind of shit usually for the whole crew, right? So that was, but it didn't shock me because like I said, I've seen that before over the so the first thing that stood out is the airplane food. And now we were back in just economy. We were not in anything special by any means. So it was, cattle car seating for where we were. I had 4 tickets. I cannot afford anything bigger than that. It's just too damn much. The first meal they bring us, I don't remember exactly what the main portion of it was, but it was a tray, metal silverware, right? On a plane, which blew my mind.
What?
Dude, yeah,
What?
chop chopsticks. They also walked out even in regular class as they're about to hand it to and gave everybody warm towels to wipe off with. That's usually a upper class seating where you get that kinda stuff here.
Yeah, that's business and first class shit in America.
Yeah, it was kinda shocking, and one of the things in this food was smoked salmon in the little salad. Like, this salmon was, like, sushi grade, oh my god.
Oh,
And again, this is cattle car, back of the boat type of deal. So the meals were there was 2 of them, and they were both delicious, hot, fresh, gave you more than you needed. Because who wants to eat that much on a plane? I don't. Because if you eat too much of that, right, you might have to go to the potty.
yeah. We all know how much room there is in there.
Number 2 that I
Mhm.
noticed, and not number 2, but second thing, the bathroom was huge for an airplane. I
Going to
could
Japan.
Yes, you could probably Mile High Club in this bastard, okay? A little bit
Wow.
of c you have to get a little creative, but way more than a normal one. It had a bidet in the toilet.
Are you serial?
I am, and again, this is so I wonder what the first class bathrooms look like because,
Yeah,
again, their
no
culture is
shit.
they're bidet people, so that didn't overly shock me too much, right? But still, like,
Gotcha.
to be able to actually turn around and not hit your shoulders in a airplane bathroom was just amazing. I'm
Or have
like,
to
"Is this?"
cock your head sideways while taking a piss.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the child changing thing is usually, like, hitting you in the forehead if it's not up for some reason, It's a weird slant. It was almost like they were, handicapped stalls, but that was for all of them. It was crazy. So that was like that blew my
Those
mind. I did not expect that. That means they gave up probably at least 1 row, right? 1 or 2 rows of seating to
at
have a
least.
larger area. So, yeah, that one was great, and then I noticed at one point, I think it was like a seat or 2 in front of me, somebody had dropped crackers or something in the aisle, and they got crunched up, right? Well, as I'm laying there, laying shit, I wish, sitting there trying to force myself to go to sleep because the beauty of the time frame is, we get on at like 5 p.m. and we're going west, so we're literally going with the sunset. So, you're like, this is just stupid. We got there at like 6 a.m. or some shit like that. But I see these crumbs on the floor, and as I'm there trying to get catatonic, I noticed one of the stewardesses had a tiny little quiet vacuum, and they're cleaning up
Wow.
as we're flying. I'm like, "What is this, Disney? Who does this
Yeah,
shit?"
no shit.
It was crazy. All I could think of is, "Wow, that's interesting, to say the least."
Hell yeah.
So so those are my first impressions of just a little bit of the culture, right? And that's again, you're paying for this, so they're just taking care of their business
Right.
and all that. So we go through this long flight and we finally reach our destination, go through immigration, which thankfully we must have landed at a time when we were like the only plane because normally we've heard horror stories of like 2 hours to get through customs there. And we were right. It was fine. Great. We were right through. Did not take
Nice.
long. It's fantastic. Now, something had actually hit me a little bit, and I was feeling a little off by the time we were like landing the last 40 minutes. And I don't know what it was. Never had issues flying before, but something just didn't sit right with me. So we get in the airport, we go through customs. And I'm like, hey guys, I know we gotta wait for our ride to get to the hotel. I gotta go to the bathroom. Okay. Ah, damn it, I'm going to an airport bathroom.
Uh,
I walk in this airport bathroom. It's cleaner than the bathroom in my own house.
wow.
It didn't smell like piss or I was like, "Did I go to am I in a executive bathroom? Did I make a mistake?" Double take it. Nope. Holy shit, it's amazing. Then I go in the stall, I sit down, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's warm. That's a warm seat. Nice warm tush." There's all these controls next to me. I'm like, "Oh, I got a goddamn video game sitting here with me," It's like, wash your balls, wash your butt, massage your ass. I mean, it was play music so you don't have to hear the guy next to you pooping. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me. This is a pub." I'd heard the rumors that their bathrooms are amazing. I assumed it just meant houses and, like, hotels.
Mhm.
Did not expect in the airport. I definitely did not expect it to be just not smelling like an airport bathroom. Because I'll tell you, Mike, when I got back home and went to take a piss in JFK, I wanted to vomit on the floor. Smelled
Uh,
so bad.
yeah. 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 The airport bathrooms in any municipal United States area.
Yeah, I mean
If you're lucky enough to have like the executive areas before you board your flight, like
right?
the gold label places, those usually have nice bathrooms, but even those are kind of sketchy sometimes.
And you're paying for that. Somebody is, at
Mhm.
least. So that was like, that's okay, that's number 2. So that's the first thing on the ground, the shock. Okay, we get through this, we move on with our day, and I didn't quite realize it at the airport because I was tired and focusing on just we get to the hotel and, force ourselves to sleep or do whatever it was. Actually, I think it was really late at night now that I think about it because we lost 13 hours going there on top of everything else because 'cause they're ahead
Yeah,
of
I was
us.
gonna say, like I texted you, it's like talking to you in the future.
Yeah, exactly. It was a day ahead or 13 hours ahead. So we
Yeah.
get up the next day, we do breakfast, and we're all like, "All right." And we had flown into Osaka. So we were waiting, we are doing Tokyo last, so we got the hustle and bustle at the end of the trip. Well, we go out and we start walking the next day to go to like the the train station or whatever we're doing. And my buddy that's with us, he's like, "Man, it's quiet here. You don't hear any of the cars. You see them, but you really don't hear them." It's very interesting. It's very peaceful. They don't have everyone's got I guess, a good catalytic converter. You assume there's just gonna be people, drifting all over the place. We're in Japan, all they do is drive fast and Fast and the Furious shit, right? No, 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 no. You don't hear their cars. They're more electric and hybrid than anything, and everyone uses the public transport, like the trains and all that, so you don't
Yeah.
even see much of that. Tons of biking, and all that stuff. And then the other thing that really blew my mind, and we noticed this initially when someone needed to, throw something away, a tissue or what be it, I don't remember. But then you realize there's no garbage cans. When you're walking around, even in the train station, like, why do I see no garbage cans? People are there carry bags for their own trash, throw it away when they have the chance. But then you realize when you're looking for a garbage can, you also see no garbage. None, Michael. There's no garbage on the ground anywhere.
I can't hear that there's like severe penalties for littering
Is there
around
okay?
there.
Maybe all right, that doesn't shock me because literally train stations then I think back, the airport was perfectly clean. The subways are gorgeously immaculately clean. It blew my mind as to how well they respect the trash. It was crazy.
Oh, okay, yeah. So in Tokyo, fines for littering range from 450 to 2,700 American dollars, depending on the severity of the offense. Repeat offenders may face higher fines of even prosecution.
There you go. Holy shit,
There
did
you
not
go.
that explains a lot of it. Glad, that I didn't litter or my kids. You don't see gum anywhere. It's amazing. We should institute those fines in the US. Imagine how much money they'd bring in.
Yeah, another one is one of the most well-known examples is Singapore, where chewing gum is heavily restricted, importing or selling it is banned, and littering gum on the streets can result in large fines. The rule was introduced to
Cane.
keep the city exceptionally clean.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so those were the first things that really stuck. The peacefulness of the vehicles, the lack of trash, the lack of again, the last lack of trash cans was the weirdest one. Because when you don't see trash, you assume I can throw it away very easily, and you couldn't. There were times where we're like searching. It's kind of
Wow.
crazy, even in a place where you would expect there to be it. Now, if you went into a restaurant or God forbid a McDonald's or some shit like that, right? They had places for trash. If there was, but that was when they knew you'd be receiving food or something that needed to be thrown away. But out in public, there's just no public trash cans. It's very minimal.
Wow.
The other thing that they're known for, and if you want to see an interesting number, you can Google how many of them there are after I tell you this. There are vending machines everywhere. And
Hmm.
while you Google that amount of vending machines, it'll blow your mind. I'm going to tell you what I talk about when I say vending machines. I'm talking hot coffee, cold coffee, soda, water, ramen, hamburgers. I saw underwear. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go back to your trash thing. So I just Googled why no trash cans in Japan. So according to the AI overview on Google, the scarcity of public trash cans in Japan, particularly in cities like Tokyo, is primarily due to security measures following 95 sarin gas attacks, where the trash bins were used to hide weapons, as well as a strong cultural emphasis on our personal responsibility for waste management, efficient sanitation practices, and reduced maintenance costs. So it
Okay.
started off with avoiding terrorist attacks, and it just kind of evolved into this self-responsibility of that stuff.
Okay. Now, we did see one morning a couple guys out picking up what little trash there was, and they were just backpack type deals where you almost like you'd see guys on the side of the road, right? Picking up and putting it in there, walking around. They didn't have to do much, right? And I said to my son, where I go, I bet you those guys, he's like, their job must suck. It's going to be so boring. I'm like, oh no, they see so much because they walk through all the touristy places. I'm like, you'd be surprised at what they see. I bet you. Way more interesting than you expect.
I read that 4 to 5 million vending units in Japan.
Yes. Can
That's
you
the
believe
highest
it?
density of vending machines in the world, averaging one for every 25 to 30 people.
Yes, Michael. They're everywhere. And they take,
Sure.
like, every form of payment known to man, from cash to 40 different types of cards. So the
Wow.
thing that blew my mind, and I read about it, is that they're also very meticulous about them being sanitary for, like, the food prep. So, like, the food will be kept in a cooler portion of it if you order something, and then it literally will heat it up before it spits it out to you. Like, it's why I said you can
Oh,
get a
nice.
burger in one of these damn things. One day, we were at, this shrine, and it had gotten a little cold that day, and, one of our neighbors that went with us, little girl, one of my daughter's best friends, she gets a hot coffee, Tully's coffee, which I, thought was a Seattle thing, and it was at some point till they pretty much went out of business, and now they only exist in Japan, and they are huge, 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 huge there. But she gets this coffee out of it, and I'm like, "Why did you get that?" She's like, "Well, it's good, and it's warm." Like, what do you mean warm? Because the same vending machine sells Coca-Cola, right? Coke
Yeah.
again, the litany of shit. Corn soup, Mike, you can get soup out of a damn vending machine. My
Yeah.
son had to get it, and he almost threw it up. It was so disgusting, but that was his problem. So I'm like, "Okay." So I take this thing from her, and I hold it. I'm like, "We wow." Now I'm intrigued, so I had to buy one. And it comes out, and it is not piping hot, but it is warm for an aluminum can. It will keep you warm for a bit. And then I crack this thing open, Mike, and it was like drinking a fresh, perfectly temperate latte from Starbucks.
Oh,
It wasn't blazingly hot, so you could drink it, but you couldn't quite guzzle it. It was hot enough. I couldn't believe it because somebody else in our party had gotten, a cold beverage from the same damn vending machine. So they're not even
that's
separated.
wild.
How the I don't know how they do it, but it is cool as hot shit, and you never got to worry about finding, as long as you got money, about finding a way to get some. You can buy umbrellas, T-shirts, socks. It not those ones aren't quite as prevalent. Fresh squeezed orange juice. There's one literally with a full of oranges, and you hit a button and it goes down and squeezes orange juice into a thing for you right there on the spot, 24 hours.
And alcohol. So you could buy alcohol out of vending machines.
Yes, some of them even had booze. I guess it's not as prevalent as it used to be just because obviously
Yeah.
kids can get a hold of it. But, yeah, I like beer, and their big beer there is called Super Dry. Like, that sounds disgusting. We looked it up, it's like Bud Light, but, they're literally super dry. I'm like, "Who the fuck wants a super dry beer? That sounds gross." I guess they do. So that was the next one that blew my mind, and I look at this and I'm thinking, "Is this a business opportunity for the States?" And me and my buddy are thinking about it. We're like, "You put them in the right place, they would be hot commodities." And then I'm like, "Yeah, but in the US, people would break into that shit."
Oh, yeah.
1000%, especially if it's anything good. It's not just getting a can of Coke. So now,
And
yeah,
it's not so
nope.
much the thing with vending machines isn't so much the having them. Buying them is the easy part. It's having the infrastructure to keep them stocked with the proper shit. That's where your money really your overhead comes in. Is having to hire the person to stock it and having the commissary to be able to supply that stuff, which can
Right?
be done.
Yeah, so I don't know how they do them with here because, it must just be a huge company that manages it throughout the country.
Oh, yeah.
And
Like
they're
a
in, like
Cisco.
I said, weird places too. It's not like you would be in tiny little towns where you wouldn't expect anything, and all of a sudden there's 10 vending machines. You're like, "The hell is that doing here?" Okay, weird, but cool. Hey,
This one says they have vending machines that have cooked bugs.
they
Come
eat
across
everything.
any of those?
Not that I noticed, but I know I didn't put on my list some interesting foods we had, but remind me, and we will get back to that, okay? Because we did
All right.
when I saw some interesting food. You see people walking around with, like, squid hanging out of their mouth as they're chewing. You're like, "Okay, that
Yeah.
just looks." Oh, yeah, I saw one girl once walking by, and it was, like, somewhere mall maybe, but whatever, and it looked like a scene from a movie, like, they're swallowing an alien. It was weird. It was weird. I get it. It's calamari is great. I ain't eating it in that form, but so that was yeah, that was the other one. Okay. You wanna go into food before I go into the next one on my list? Because food's always fun to talk about.
Sure. It's going to food.
Okay, let's go into food, Mike. The first thing, Mike, that you would love, it's everywhere. Everywhere is Wagyu beef. I mean, like, we were in Kobe, and my wife is like, "Oh, we should find a steakhouse because if we're ever gonna get a real Kobe steak, this is how we're gonna do it. It'll probably be the most affordable because it's local."
Right.
That did not happen because the restaurants are very tiny over there, and I think we were very tired that day. Definitely did not wanna go to a expensive steakhouse with 4 kids either. But we had Wagyu at the Asu.
Man. If you
They
were to
have
guess how
all
many pounds of Wagyu you ate? 2?
yeah, maybe. I'd say 3 might be 2 to 3. The thing is, like, a lot of them sell it in, like, almost on skewers. So you might be
Yeah.
getting walking by and you're getting a skewer, another skewer. So you're a lot of their stuff is
Couple
very, like
ounces at a time.
yeah, you'll go to a lot of it's almost like I don't wanna say open air markets, but they kind of are, and it's just a billion restaurants right after each other where you don't even sit down at most of them. You walk up and it's but if you'll see, like, crab legs and crazy sushi and all this, and then Wagyu and then something else, and you're like you just walk around like, "Oh my god, I want all of it." Crazy, crazy shit, and, so the other big thing that they got over there, and you get addicted to them as you find more of them are these little I guess they're kind of a pastry type deal. Most of them, they're in the shape of a fish.
Mm.
And they usually have, like, chocolate or a custard or red bean paste is the big thing over there, kinda their sweetness. I guess it's not as a little more healthy for you, but I'm sure it's sugared up because it is sweet. But they're delicious, and they're everywhere. My wife found one that actually had a custard-filled one, and then one that had peanut butter, which didn't even know they ate peanut butter over there. So she had to try it. It was like the greatest peanut butter in the world. I'm like, "Oh my god, these things are delicious." And then my
It says
kid
they're called taiyaki? Taiyaki.
I said they're in the States. I've seen them here, but they're everywhere. Just they're
Yeah.
fucking everywhere. And then they have the 10 yen. I don't know if you've ever seen I guess it's a big TikTok thing or whatever, the 10 yen cheese pull. And it's one that's yes, you've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's so of course, 10 yen cheese pull costs 1,000 yen, but, big my son had to do it. And of course, they had to do it a couple of times where he's pulling like, "Oh, shoot, how much cheese I can get out of this?" And it's good. I'm not gonna lie, it's good. I don't know how I did not gain weight on this trip, and I
The
think the
walking.
answer is we walked over 65 miles.
Mhm.
That was recorded on, watches or phones. And again, when you eat, you're eating these things in small portions too. So it's not like you're sitting down and engulfing, 2,000 calories. You're eating a stick of Wagyu, which maybe it's 400 calories, but it's pure protein too. Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
not I didn't drink nearly as much as I would if I'd gone on like a Caribbean vacation. I had a couple beers, I had some whiskey, but it was very minimal, very, very minimal. And sweets, which I'm a big sweet tooth person. I didn't eat a ton of it. And it's not that it wasn't available. It was different, but I don't know, we'd spent so much time on trains and all that, I just kinda didn't have the desire to sugar myself up, and you're dead tired by the end of the night, you're like, "I just wanna sleep." Great coffee.
It's gonna ruin my Wagyu aftertaste. It's in my mouth.
Don't give me that weirdness. Oh, one day, we were, 2 families had split for a couple days, and our friends actually went to Tokyo Disney, and we were like, "Eh, we're not gonna do that." There were a couple of anime locations that, my kids really wanted to see. I think were Bungo Stray Dogs or whatever Straw Dogs was, filmed or anime is drawn out and all that. So we went to some other locations, and one of the places we went to had the largest anime store in the world, and also this ginormous Pokemon store. It might have been the largest Pokemon store. Just ginormous, a billion people. Probably the only time I actually felt, I don't wanna say claustrophobic, but surrounded because it was just like, you're like, "Oh my god, why are there so many people buying Pokemon cards?" Of course, my son needed a bunch of them because you can't buy them in the States. My
Oh,
wife's
yeah.
like, Give me a Geisha Pikachu." I'm like, "Oh, it's cute, alright, whatever." It's a 30th anniversary Pikachu that was just came out only for there. I'm like, "I gotta buy one of these and just put it away because this I could sell this on eBay." I look it up, I'm like, "I can make money. It just came out today. I can double the costs immediately, and in 5 years, I could probably make 100, $200 of this fucker."
Hell
So,
yeah.
yeah, you get some of that cute stuff like that. And so then afterwards, we're like, "Alright, now the kids are hungry," before we head back to the, to the hotel. I'm like, "All right, what are we gonna eat?" So we're looking around, and I'm gonna mute for a second and honk my nose.
Wah!
And, looking for something a little bit different, and my wife finds this little restaurant in the Goku district, which I love Dragon Ball Z, so Goku is my man. So I was like, "Sweet." And we walk into this little place, and they were actually fairly new, and it was almost like a hot pot type of place, but instead of being at a table where you've got ones that you kinda share, it was all kinda counter bar seating. It was very I mean, that you've been in my office, like, the size of this restaurant is not much bigger than my office. Very tiny.
Okay.
A lot of them are tiny like that. So we were lucky that there were 4 seats left at the end of this counter. So we sit down and we all get our own little burner with the hot pot on there, and I think everyone got Wagyu, and this Wagyu was thicker than normal. So good. I don't this it was a pricey dinner. Not, ridiculous, but it was definitely one of the more expensive dinners. But the pot, these pieces of Wagyu they lay out for you, which are just gorgeous. I should have taken a picture for you because I know you would appreciate it.
You got no picture?
And I probably got one somewhere. I'm sure I did.
If
Inside
you
it,
did, I'm sure your wife did.
right. They've got their veggies and, and you get a broth and all the rice that you want, and everything in it was just delicious. So then the weird thing is we're kinda watching other people, and then the guy's explaining to us in, perfect fairly perfect English, which that's the other thing is the culture shift there for translation. So many people speak English. It's not like it's a a big issue. There was one place we went to where we just stumbled along this tiny restaurant, just the adults, and they didn't speak a lick of English. It was locals only type of deal, and they were cool with it. They're like, yeah, whatever. We're just Google translating this for what we want to see. Every menu you Google translate the picture so you can figure out what the hell you're going to order. It's pretty cool. So wait 1 second.
Mhm.
Sorry, big sneeze, baby. So we're sitting there and we noticed they're doing something with an egg. And we're like, all right, wonder what they ordered. And then the guy comes over, he's like, all right, cracks an egg into a bowl for all of us. Gives us a raw egg. Okay. So now I'm like, I'm giving you a small bowl with a raw egg in it. What are you thinking right now?
You can scramble your eggs.
Your mind went where mine is. I'm thinking, oh, this is gonna end up going in the plate in the hot pot, and we're gonna have almost like an egg drop soup type egg cook going on. No, no, Michael. No. Your first piece of Wagyu goes in the pot with everything else and cooks while you're eating your miso soup. And then you see people are taking their piece of Wagyu, which is, let's say, that's a pretty big piece, maybe half the length of my arm, if not the length of my arm. Pull it out and they just drop it in this bowl of egg that they've now mixed up with their chopsticks.
Mm,
It's not smoking hot, so it doesn't cook it, okay?
right.
Just cooked. And then you pick pieces off and you eat it, coated in egg yolk.
I mean, I get it. But yeah, there's a little ick to it for me there.
Yeah,
Slight
so I'm
ick.
looking at it, I'm thinking of the ick, and I'm thinking of the, "No, you're not supposed to eat this. I'm not Rocky, okay? I don't wanna get sick when I'm on vacation." But, hey, when in Rome, so eat it.
Yep.
My daughter even ate it, and she's
What?
totally dude, blew my mind. Loved it. She loved it. She wanted Wagyu after that every place we could find it. She loved it, but dipped in egg yolk. I'm like, "You gotta be shitting me." They're eating
Yeah.
pieces, out of this I would not have expected them to eat. So that was the first thing that I just kinda had a little quick double take on, like, "Oof, do I want" but, okay, would never do this in the States, gotta do it. Just gotta go for it. So
Yep.
then a little later on, I see the lady next to me, who was a local, mixing something else up, which looked like egg, and she dumps it into her rice bowl. I'm like, "All right, now what are we doing here? Now we're making a an egg mixture with this and veggies and, maybe a little bit of the beef in there." I guess I can see it because you already got the flavor with the meat. I can see where that goes.
Mhm.
The other guy walks over and he's like, "Special treat with dinner." And he hands us another bowl, which just has the yolk in it. There's no how eggs, you have that kinda clear membrane, which kinda turns into the white when you cook it?
Yeah, egg white.
Yeah, this is just the yolk.
Okay.
I forget what he called it. He called it truffle yolk or whatever. And then he takes a little grater and he shaves some fresh truffles into it. And then you take that and mix it a little bit, and you mix that with your rice that you still have and just kinda stir it up.
Oh, sure.
So now I'm like, "It looks like you've got snot boogie soup here."
Yeah, but it sounds so good.
Oh my god, it's almost like not quite dessert level, but it was so close. My kids I was super full by this point, so I only ate a little bit of it. It was delicious. My kids destroyed it. I'm looking over like, "Who are these kids? I cannot believe they're eating this shit." It's amazing, and it was phenomenal, and you know what? Everybody felt no one got sick, obviously, because it's fresh, right? That was just again, you can do that. That's kind of the way it's supposed to be. We store stuff here a little too long, we cover it in bleach, it goes to
Yeah,
us.
I actually would trust Japanese raw cuisine more in Japan than I do here.
Yeah, and they're, obviously they're very I mean, you could get puffer fish everywhere, Mike, sushi or fried, which that'll kill you if it's not done right.
Yeah, I think I'd pass on that anywhere.
Yeah, that's 1000%. So that was the first one that was really just blew my mind a little bit for food that I
So
didn't
going back to the egg yolk, so it was egg yolk, shaved truffle, and what else?
you mix them with just like rice, like jasmine type rice.
So it was kinda like a tapioca in the end of it.
Yes, that's pretty much what it was, but it was a lot I needed more egg or more rice in mine, so it was kinda runny, but again, the more you added, the
Yeah,
thicker it would get, and you could add a little broth, I ended up putting some of my meat I still had in there, which made it even better because now you kinda had that flavor along with the Wagyu and the rice. It's just
richness of the egg yolk.
it was
Ah,
delicious. It was delicious. And so then we did another one, and again, this was just the 4 of us, my family, and my son loved the shit out of this one. My wife had found this restaurant somewhere online before we went. Like, you go in and you catch your fish in the restaurant.
that's fucking cool.
There's a list, like, we brought the menu home, it shows every type that they actually have there, and you can do anything from scallops, I think they had scallops, to a lobster, like a Japanese lobster, but we rockfish, I did a flounder, and a couple other stuff, but you catch a fish, you pull it out, you put it in a little net, they come over and say, "All right, well, some, bullshit." Clap their hands, and then they go, "How do you want it cooked?" And give you there's, like, 4 ways to cook it, and depending on the size or type of fish, you can get it 1 or 2 different ways. Like, I got mine was, like, sashimi, and then I think I might have did fried, so we also did one that was, like, kinda like a garlic boil. Oh, it's again, super fresh because you're catching it and literally they're taking it in the back. So as you're fishing for your next one, they might bring a plate to the table with food on it that they've already cut up. Disgusted our daughter. She literally hid from it. It was the funniest shit ever. 3 of us ate like kings. It was phenomenally and fun as hell. But again, something you couldn't do in the US just because they wouldn't there's no way they would let that go. I'm looking at this going, "This would not fly anywhere in the United States."
Yeah, and it would be ticketed by PETA every day.
Yeah.
So, man, that sounds awesome.
Kind of stuff I wasn't expecting, and, I ate some fish even done in ways I wouldn't, normally do, which is cool. Damn sneezes. Um,
Poor
a lot
little
of
note.
you ever had tang hulu? A lot of that, the kids did. I didn't.
Kung Fu.
We've made it at home. It's pretty much It's you take sugar, it's like almost like a 2 to 1 sugar to water ratio. You boil it all down, get it to, I think, 300 degrees, then you put,
Oh.
like, strawberry, just stuff in there, and you pull it out and ice bath it, and it's got a nice, crisp, clear candy shell of sugar on it.
It's kinda like doing candied apples, but with
Yes.
pretty
Yeah.
much all kinds of fruit. Okay.
Yeah, it's everywhere, it's everywhere. Kids ate that like it was going out of style because you couldn't take 20 steps without finding a place selling it, which was pretty cool, and they loved it, and I guess strawberries are huge over there, which in hindsight, everywhere you go, it's kinda got volcanic ash. It's a Mount Fuji's a volcano, strawberries are
Yeah.
pretty prevalent. I didn't even think about it, but then I'm like, "Oh, every time place I've been does have strawberries," and probably the coolest thing I ate, Mike, and I didn't even realize it, I felt like an idiot until the moment I saw this sign. I had a Fuji apple at the base of Mount Fuji,
Alright, that's kinda cool.
and the thing was massive. But I didn't even think, like, Fuji apple never entered my mind. That I just thought that was just a type of apple, didn't even think they would have come from there until we're, doing the tour. I'm like, "This is the" I was pissed because it was later on in the point, and I didn't get a chance, like, I wanted to hold up a bite with a picture of Mount Fuji in the background and be like that typical idiot tourist,
Yeah,
but I
but
didn't.
that's what you do that shit for.
100%, but wasn't able to pull that one off. Did get to see Mount Fuji, and we thought it was gonna be a terrible weather day. We got super lucky, cleared up. I was giddy like a little schoolgirl, Mike. I'm literally looking out the bus. I'm like, "Ew, look at that." My wife's like, "I know it. We're gonna get closer. Calm down." I'm like, "But it's," I'm like, that was the only thing on my list I cared about that I wanted to do. So that made me a happy little girl. It did.
You weren't like that douchebag when we were on that train in Alaska? "Oh, look, everybody, another mountain." I'm like, "Oh, wow. Wow, that guy's a killjoy."
Well, that my kids were, "What's so special?" I'm like, dude, it's iconic. I'm on to smack the little shits. Got good
It's
pictures with them. They're like,
historic.
"That's cool." Yeah, people make a mecca to this thing, and you can't even climb it right now because it's covered in snow and stuff, you little bastards, but whatever.
Yeah, and not to mention, it has its place in ancient history, like, forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like the
it's,
Parthenon in Greece.
just something you see if you can, yeah. And it's one of those things also that, most volcanoes and mountains and all that, if you're not lucky, they're cloudy and you get a shit view. Yeah, I think it's like 70 days out of the year you get a full view. We got really lucky because we left and it was raining. Thankfully, it cleared up over the 4 hours it took to get to the damn place with traffic. But, yeah,
Wow.
that was yeah, I was stoked about that. I felt like, definitely a young little kid with that one. It was kinda cool. So those were the kind of the fun food things. There was a lot. We tried a lot, saw a lot of stuff that people would eat that I think they're all crazy, but whatever. They eat it over here. We did go into a McDonald's, not by my choice, but whatever. Went in to see what you got to see what they had, and
It's
they've got the
curiosity.
we went once for a breakfast because we were out early and not much was open, and they had this because it was a cherry blossom season, and they weren't blooming quite a bit. They had a cold spell, so we only got to see a little bit of it, but they have a lot of stuff that they do kind of for the festivals and all that. And they had this strawberry cream sakura pie, like the apple pie. I'm like, "I got try."
Yeah.
It was heavenly. Oh my god, I loved it. My wife got a sausage patty thing that was in, like, a teriyaki sauce. They had a teriyaki burger. Yeah, some really cool stuff on the menu that you don't see over here, so that was kinda neat to be able to try different things like that. And again, extremely clean McDonald's. I felt dirty eating at a McDonald's when I don't like to go to chains when we travel, but it just
Yeah.
kinda worked for where we were. And again, you're looking for shit that you just can't find at home. The food wine, like you would have loved it just because of the eclectic mix of all those things. Mike, we brought back 15 different flavors of Kit Kats. I shit you not. I'll bring you
Let me know
some.
how the wasabi ones are.
I don't think do we get them? They have matcha. I got a box of sake Kit Kats.
Well, that'll be crazy.
They're good. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I will bring a sampling of all these different Kit Kats. I mean, there's some you're like, I don't know, but others, ooh, wouldn't have expected it. Good flavor mix. Wasn't sure how they would do it. Very good. So I will bring you some, I promise.
Oh, cool.
And we did make our own cup of noodles, which was fun. That was pretty cool. At some point, we'll heat it up and eat it. We'll see if it's as nasty as it should be. So the food, Mike, that was a that was a fun one, and that's always fun every time you go to a new culture to see how they cook stuff and you eat it.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't think I've actually said anything other than maybe the trash piece that would
Huh?
surprise you, right? I wanna 'cause I haven't gotten to where what really got me yet. And I'm about to. So anything I've said that you'd be like, "Oh, I wouldn't expect it," other than maybe the vending machines.
I knew about the vending machines, but I didn't know it was quite that many. I mean, I knew they loved the culture, loved their vending machines, and they thrived on, but I didn't know it was one for every 35 people. Jesus.
Yeah, what's even worse is they have, those little ball things that you find that you put money in, you get a little crappy prize out of here.
Mhm.
They got a bajillion of those. We went to one that was 4 stories tall, full of them, thousands of them, and they ain't cheap. They're like 3 to 500 yen each, but you get something out of it that's actually, like,
Worth
valid.
something.
Yeah, it's a cool little toy, and then they actually have containers to, like, "Alright, take it off, take the ball that it's in and return it." They actually bring these back, they recycle them, which is kinda cool to reuse. You see people just filling these
That's
fuckers
neat.
the whole time, but they're everywhere too. And we'd read some stuff that were like, "Make sure you have 100 yen coins everywhere you go because your kids are gonna go crazy for this," and there was probably 3,000 times I wanted to smack my kids because if they said, "Do you have any more? Could I just have 300 yen one more time for some dumb shit?" Dude, it was like, "Come on." I finally got to the point where my neighbor had mentioned it as an idea, and I'm like, here's a little pouch of money. This is how many yen you're getting. Ration yourself out, kid. When you're out, don't ask me for any more. That's all you get
You
for these
don't.
stupid vendors." I stuck to it pretty well, thankfully, which was cool. So then we've talked about all these fun little nuanced things that you just don't see every day here. And then there was a couple things that, how do I say, not shocked me, not surprised me, made me sad. And when I say sad, Mike, I mean sad because when I thought about how we are back home in America, I felt like for being a newer culture, you think we would actually be a little more elevated and we would have been starting off right where others had learned and kind of gave us the springboarding.
Yeah.
And we are so far behind in certain areas. So, one quick example, and I guess you could say it's pure respect. And you always kind of think of the Japanese culture as one that's, even with like what's the thing where they stab themselves in the guts and they would cut their in the and to
Carry or something like that.
it was all based on an honor system thing, right? They're very big on honor and,
Yeah.
respect for each other and all that, and I didn't expect it. I heard it. I don't expect it with the older crowd because we see Fast and the Furious, see John Wick fighting and Avengers and stuff fighting in Japan and Asia and killing people and all this crazy shit, and all you see is whiz bang and all that stuff. Michael, you get on a subway, and I'd already mentioned to you that it's clean. So a subway or a train, which are everywhere, you ride the shit out of them. You really do. They're quieter than any place in America, almost quieter than an elevator. This is a whole subway train. All you hear is the train. And there's kids on it, a lot of teenagers, young in their 20s, and they're just standing there. They might be on their phones, but they have earbuds in. They're not holding their phone up going, "Yo, what's up, man? What you doing later on?" Or, "Hey, well, it's party tonight." They're quiet. They're
Everybody's
respect.
respectful of everybody's space.
They're standing. They leave the seats open for women, children, and old people. People like an old person will get on the train and literally people will stand up and wave to them. "Come take my seat." Young kids, they stay. It's amazing. I'm like, you do not, you almost, if you see that in the States, you would be like, your jaw would hit the floor. You'd be like, someone raised that kid right.
Yeah.
There, everywhere, everywhere. I offered this old guy my seat once and I just gently reached up. He walked in and he was in front of me and I'm sitting down. We've been sitting for a while. I had a long ride for us. I just tapped him on the shoulder, no one trying to think of what to say. "Oh, Sama say, excuse me," and he kind of looks down at me and I just pointed my seat. I'm like, "Would you like my seat?" And he waved me off. He said, "Oh, no, 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 no." And he smiled. He got off in like 2 stops. So he wasn't staying on very long after that. But his stop came up, and instead of just walking off and hustling off the train, he waited. He turned around and looked at me, made eye contact, and then like bowed, said thank you, and then left. Like just because I offered up my seat. That's how they treat each other. And I'm like, why? Why?
Well, because we're a bunch of overprivileged assholes, Joe. I mean,
But
that's the
and then
majority of the country.
so that's what I was thinking for portion of this, because there'd be times where my kids would be running around going crazy, or my son and his best friend are just they're just being kids, hooting and hollering. They're 11, 13 years old. They're just being little boys, puberty starting and all that. And I look at my son like, don't be the little loud American kid. Watch these other ones. I'm like, I just don't want to get the side eye because it's not around you. And again, then I'd probably get the side eye for yelling at my kid because you shouldn't have to there, right? um, but
And if you
so
do,
so the fuck what? It's a trip. It is what it is. But I like to try to be part of the culture when I go somewhere because I don't want to impose in any manner. I don't want to be that guy.
exactly, because you are in their house, so you want
Yes.
to obey what rules they might have laid down
Yeah, you
in
take
respect
still
to their
restaurants
culture.
you go to where you had to take your shoes off, even the fishing one. "Oh, when you go up to your table, no, your shoes stay here." "Okay, cool, whatever." It was fine, but, I watched it and it literally just it blew my mind because you would see it consistently throughout, and we circled most of the country, for a good portion of it, and there wasn't like it didn't exist anywhere. Even when we went to, Shibuya, which is known for if you Google that one, they're known for that crazy multi-crosswalk where it's like just mass craziness crossing through this thing. Thousands of people at once. And we go through this and you're side to side walking with people, but no one's pushing, no one's shoving. Even at the train station there, people are being courteous. You go into the shopping places there, they're bougie. These people got money. They are buying crap left and right. And it's stupid. I think that Pokemon story went in with the kids. And even my kids were like, this sucks. We're leaving. 'Cause it was ridiculous. They had a Nintendo store, Mike, which was cool as hell. His son played a new Mario Kart Galaxy game, whatever they had on a display on this huge screen and all that, but they're like, this is just too much." But you see people buying just tons and tons of this stupid, stupid stuff for stupid amounts of money. So it's not like they don't buy frivolous stuff like we do, but
Sure.
they don't push it in your face in kind of the rude way. It's very like, it really surprised me. I didn't, that was a thing that I think I did not prepare or know how to prepare for because I didn't expect it in any manner. Just the lack of respect. You didn't ever get glaring kids or, teenagers. They were hanging out together, but they didn't look like a gang of punks. They were quiet and courteous in their own area and cleaned up after themselves. So that was something I came back, I'm like, "Wow, if we could emulate just that portion, our country would be amazing," just in the way we treat each other, I'm not gonna lie, Mike, it was beautiful to go almost 2 weeks and not hear any piece of politics. We were off TV. I didn't see one MAGA hat or a Harris hat or a pro blah, blah, blah. There are no bumper stickers, none of that shit. Or hell, a taxi cab driver, we got a few Ubers or whatever, and they guys show up and they're in like a suit,
Oh, yeah.
and they're just driving nothing special. They're just driving a Toyota. They don't care, but they're to the 9. Some kid don't know what the hell you're saying, but it doesn't matter. They were, super respectful and gorgeous, and their cars are dude, I watched one guy driving and literally the center console is playing an ad in a TV show. I'm like, "How the hell did he do that? I hope he ain't watching it." Yeah, that stuff. So this whole respect thing blew my mind. Just like I said that walking around even in mass Tokyo, you didn't hear the type of traffic that we have here. You would see the cars, you would have all that, but it was not in your face loud. I think we saw one large semi-type truck while we were there. It was very interesting in that manner.
No, as far as the disconnect, as far as the respect level goes, I think where America comes into it, the history that's piled on with, you take it all the way back to colonialism, then the Brits, the French American or French Indian War, then you come up to slavery and all this other bullshit that's happened, gentrification, and everybody just kind of clicking off with each other and pretty much having the freedom to develop their own cultures and split up into their own tribes, if you want to put it like that. And then you've got those cultures trying to outmatch those cultures with their attitudes. And now you have the culture wars we have today. But yeah, I think that's the disconnect is because you're dealing with a culture that is so old and they so are ingrained with their ancestry and stuff like that. We are just such a mixed pot of cultures that I really don't. I think that's the Achilles heel of having the melting pot is you do have so many different cultures, and getting
You
along
learn
sometimes is a little challenging.
yeah.
I mean, if you see, so the perfect examples, like, you go to the Olympics, right? And you look at Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics, doesn't matter. You see Kenya, it's full of Kenyans. You see Japanese, it's full of Japanese people. China, Chinese people. See America, you see Chinese, Japanese, African. You see,
Everything.
I mean, everybody. Same with Europe, Great Britain, and Germany, and things like that. It's a melting pot of all different kinds of people, and I think that's probably what the Achilles heel is you have so many different cultures. There isn't that ingrained, solidified way that this is who we are. This is everybody. We all have our parts. Like you and I were raised right. We know to be respectful to certain people and cultures and things like that, but there's some people that start raised like that, nor do they give a shit.
Very, very true. I mean, and it's not I don't think it's a negative because the fact that we have that blend is also what makes us such a unique part of the world. That's the beauty of it, right? It's just it's one of the things I just saw is like, I wish we could just adopt a little more of this because then the all the strife and animosity that I see every single day in the US would not be so prevalent. I'm not saying they're all happy over there. They might hate their government exponentially, I don't know, but
Well, but there's also the suicide force. So, I mean,
yeah.
you've got that dark side of the culture too,
Yep.
where they
Yes.
are so scaled in their own self pride and dignity and succeeding that if they don't in their families in certain realms, that they rather commit suicide than just move forward with life and accept failure and move on to try and succeed at the next. So
Yeah,
there's dark sides to both. But as far as the respect thing, you're right. That is had to have been such a breath of fresh air.
it's an eye opener more than anything. The suicide one, there actually we didn't go to it, but we were not far from I guess there's this bamboo or forest known called like suicide forest where people go that's where they go to commit
Yeah,
suicide. It's very weird.
yeah, yeah. You wouldn't catch me within 100 miles of
Yeah, no thanks. If there's anything haunted in this world, it's that place, right?
it. And not even that I'm a big believer in that stuff, but, you get an aura or just kinda like a gut feeling when you're like, I went to Gettysburg one time, and just that the heavy weight of grievance you have there of what happened, it just weighs on you. To be close to someplace like that, to know that somebody's self-worth was so depleted that they had to come to that, oh, man, it just destroys my head. I couldn't. No way.
Thousands of gallons of blood are in the soil, and all those type of
Yeah,
places, especially Gettysburg. It's crazy.
yeah.
So then it becomes a little bit humorous is some of the things I noticed. Another thing that they don't do over there, which is kind of funny because it's I guess a very American thing. Napkins are few and far between. And for them, it's partially waste and all that. You'll get like one wet just to kind of clean whatever when you get there, and that's it. You almost have to ask for a napkin if you need it to when you're eating something. If you get a burger, it comes like wrapped in a thing so you don't make a mess.
Right.
Again, we did have Wagyu burger, baby. Oh my God. But
Okay.
so you have to ask for something like that, and then their napkins are like weirdest shit ever. It's almost like it's half plastic, half it's very recycled type of deal. Not a comfortable napkin in any manner. We went to one place that had boxes of tissues. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but okay. So they talk about and go to that realm where they're very conscious about saving their resources and reusing a lot of electric vehicles. Saw a good bit of wind turbines kind of out there, which great, you go for it. I'm all generate power wherever you want. That's awesome, right? I prefer stay away from coal. It is disgusting
Yeah.
for people, but you got to use what you got to use. And that's what it is. But you see culture that kind of focuses on stuff like that. And then you step back and you think about it and you're like, well, wait a minute. Every time I go to the bathroom, and they'll actually tell you in the public places to sit, like signs, do not stand and piss, which is why it doesn't smell. They want you to sit for everything.
Yes.
And you walk up to some of these bathrooms, the lid might open for you. It might pre-flush, mist, clean itself, all that. And I'm thinking, me and the other guy were talking like, how much water do they waste? with these crazy bidets that are constantly doing something. You sit down on the thing and it already starts doing cleaning the bowl or doing whatever. I'm like, what? What you let me make a mess before you waste water? It was very interesting just to see that. You're super one side about being resourceful and economical and all that shit, right? Save the world. And then you're just wasting water and you're on this little island. You have a limited supply because it ain't salt water going through your toilets. So that one, you look it up good. You look that up while I move into my
Oh yeah.
second grade, which
Yeah, keep
really,
going. I'm listening.
so that one was kind of humorous. And you notice that. And I also noticed everywhere you walk around, especially at night, they have more lights and LEDs and TV screens and craziness than it is like downtown Times Square everywhere you go. So I'm like, their electricity usage has to be
Off the
beyond
chain.
beyond. And even like you'd walk past a little alley and it'd be all lit up like to the nines. You're like, what the shit? It looks beautiful, but why is this everywhere? It was crazy. Their electricity has to be just phenomenal. Those two things really shocked me. You're all about no trash, no waste here, recycle, recycle, and cleanliness, flush water like it's going out of business. Dude, their showers, Mike, had like the water pressure of a fire hose. It was amazing, but it wasn't gallons per minute. It was like gallons per second coming out of these things.
Okay. So it says that they have a high efficiency water structure, water recycling and conservation. The country uses advanced technology to recycle wastewater for non potable applications and employs innovative water saving toilets and household appliances. So they have some kind of infrastructure for the water supply where it does a potable water, non potable water
Reuse and stuff,
reuse and gray water thing. So it's just an island, so they've got to figure it out somehow.
right? And yeah, I didn't smell, so I never had a sewer smell anywhere. So it was impressive. But again, you watch it and it's just how much am I how much am I using here?
Well, not only that, it's like how much does the conservation end of it and the recycling end of it take, and money does it cost to make that happen so you can use that kind of water and keep holding it over the desalinization and is yeah, it's a double edged sword, kind of like
Well,
electric cars. It's like
so what
yeah,
about
what
their electricity usage? Look that one up for me real quick.
man.
And while you look that up, I found something, it was humorous. The quite a few taxi drivers that if they were either in an electric or a hybrid vehicle, they would come to a stoplight, they would literally put their car in park and turn the lights off, the headlights. I'm like, "What? Are you conserving that much energy doing that?" The craziest thing, and because I always end up sitting in the front and I'm watching this, I'm like, "What the hell are these guys doing?" I didn't get it. There's no way you're conserving that for a start, stop, but
Mm,
yeah, that was a very common thing to see. No, oh, they also don't honk. We heard 1 honk in 10 days from a car.
one honk.
1 in 10 days, and that was when someone, like, cut somebody else off, which is rare.
Well, it says
Weird.
Japan is the world's fifth largest consumer of the entire globe, Joe.
Okay, I can
Of
see that.
electricity, with consumption around 900 to 944 billion with a B kilowatt hours
Kilowatt.
annually as of 2023 and 2024. The country relies heavily on fossil fuels for roughly 67 to 69% of its generation, while importing 97% of its oil. Following the
Wow.
2011 Fukushima disaster, solar has grown to 10% of generation, with total low carbon resources, nuclear and renewable, at roughly 31 to 32%. So they are power users. That ain't no shit.
Yeah,
For a
for a
damn island, and they're
5th for an
fifth
island.
in the world.